Hey, it's CJ Miller. I'm in my apartment in Shreveport, Louisiana. I don't know what that. That's a little marking on the outside. When they were like putting the building together or something, I guess something got out there. Anyway, I can't get to it to get that off. Uh, I guess maybe the next time I raise the window, I could try to work my hand in there, but I don't think it's going to go up that far. I may be stuck with those marks on the window. Anyway, yeah, the plant's doing good. Every day, hi there, it's CJ Miller. I'm in my apartment. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. It's across the Red River from beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. Some of my view. I'm over here actually looking at. It's hot outside a little bit, so I don't want to sit outside. Ah, trying to show off my window. That's my view of the city. It's about Oh, technically, I guess it would be 2 blocks away. Although my apartment is in a complex that is right across the street from the main downtown, and technically now it's considered uh, northwest downtown. You know, the west side of downtown, west downtown area. So I love it. So I'm here checking out my plants. Uh, and loving it. I take it outside, not in the hottest of the hot days with the direct sunlight, but when there's not direct sunlight, I take it outside so it can get a little bit of natural air versus just staying in the room. And it's doing really well. That one spike there, there's a couple of them that are just growing off in some crazy uh, almost unmanageable directions, but I want it to hold together a little bit longer. I got some small plant clamps that I can put on the leaves to kind of like brace them against each other and kind of give support. So that'll help them not get too heavy. But what I'm starting to see is a stronger stalk grow up, uh, and that's good. That's one of the things that with an aloe vera that I wanted to see. Because if these are just growing out individually and there's not a heavy stalk, then what happens is the leaves get too heavy, uh, you know, and that's why they're so splayed apart. Because initially there wasn't a tremendous amount of support as they started to grow. So I started to read a little bit more about that. Actually, one of the leaves you may know if you're here, and I've talked about this plant, did break off since I had it, and I took it and I just like rerouted it or replanted it. It's not that at first it was like sickly and almost dead, the one little leaf, but it's not shriveled yet. So maybe it's going to do something, either stay preserved or hopefully what I want to know is if it can root and become part of the plant through its root system by entangling a root system or something like that. Like a cutting or whatever. Sometimes you could do that. Anyway, with the plant. Okay, so this is a succulent. I think what I did do, I just now, about once a month, I want to uh, fertilize the plant, feed it. And I'm almost certain that I overly fed it. But it's not a small, super small plant, so that's okay. That's okay. It maybe can handle a little bit of overfeeding. But yeah, I probably fed it about twice as much as what's recommended. But if I'm careful in the future, maybe it'll get through this one time here without being overly nitrated. Uh, it's a mistake I made once. I had a ficus several years ago, a small ficus tree, a ficus plant. And I think I did everything right with it, but I think what I did was I overwatered it and I put too many nitro spikes into the soil, and it became too, um, I want to say acidic, the soil, if it's too acidic or whatever. I think this will be okay just in one treatment because I think, you know, it'll be okay. It's the root system's not all the way to the bottom of the soil, and it's okay if some of that soaks in and everything like that. So that's really good. So anyway, um, yeah, I want to see some. I want to see some tremendous, powerful growth come out of this plant in the next month. Maybe next month. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to transfer it out of that plastic Folgers cup and see what we can get going on. So. Uh, Part of me maybe wants to think about, should I go out and that one huge leaf, should I prune it? It looks large like that by perspective. When I move around, there are other large leaves coming off this thing also. This is much bigger than when I first bought it. Or I didn't buy it, someone gave it to me, but when I first brought it in. For instance, this sprig here was a baby. It was much smaller than even this one, and this one wasn't even noticeable yet. What I would love to see, I'd love to see more development like that. And one of the reasons why I don't just leave the plants out all day long is because an aloe, such as other plants, can become sunburned. And I found that out just by reading. I was like, really? A plant can get sunburned? Yeah. And you also, like I said, if a plant is outside, what you want to do, if it lives outside, what you want to do is you want to water and feed your plants at dusk versus having the water get overly hot and steamy in the heat of the day. You want to wait till it gets later. It's not dusk yet. We have a couple hours till dusk, but it's okay. That's better than like it's about 5:30, 6 o'clock. So whatever. Actually, no, I just looked. It's just about 5 o'clock. Just a couple of minutes before 5. It's probably a little bit early for watering, but I did. I just a light water to maybe get some of that acidity down through the soil. I normally don't want to water this plant unless the soil is dry. And that's especially going to be true in the near future, because when you take water and you put it with a chemical that's somewhat acidic, or whatever, that has a different alkalinity than neutral water. If you take water and you put it with an acid, or if you put it with an alkaline is also a base, then what happens is the water will take on, by chemical exchange, will take on the lean of the acidity of the agent that's added to the water. So if something is overly acidic, then you put water with that, then the water becomes acidic. Or if something is, on the other direction, like, say, above a 7, which is neutral, 1 through 7 on this alkalinity scale would be on the alkaline side, 7 being perfectly neutral, and anything above 7 going to 14, which would be 14 being an absolute base or an alkali. And you don't want to be that far in either direction. That's the kind of industrial, acidity on the one, and then the and then the acidity, the alkaline on the 14. Those extremes will like tear through most materials, So yeah, you don't want anything to get like that, Sometimes people will give you a oh my God, your Coca-Cola is it will, if you drop a nail in there, it'll dissolve a nail within like a week or a month's time or whatever it is. That old story. and then they tell you that, and it's like, oh my, can you imagine what this is doing to your stomach? And it's like, oh, let me see if I can imagine what it's doing to my stomach. The average, I want to say 3.4 to 4, maybe is that the on the alkaline scale is the number of that alkalinity, so it's on the acidic side. True, but your stomach acid that dissolves your food is acidic, and its number is on average 3.4. Uh, give or take per people, but usually that's it. So, yeah, Coca Cola will dissolve a nail, but if you swallow a nail, and if it doesn't chew you all the way up, it will dissolve in your stomach acids, at the same rate of a Coca. It's not Coca Cola matches sodas and stuff like that. So, uh, when they're trying to scare you off and say you should only drink nothing but pure water with no additives or anything like that. It's probably healthy. It's probably healthiest, but you know, God love me, I love flavor, and this Coke Zero is a lot healthier than regular Coke. How did I learn? How did I learn about the alkalinity? Eh, litmus tests and stuff like that. It's like elementary science. But I really studied it when I got into studying chemistry, cosmetic chemistry, uh, in my late teens and early 20s. It's so funny because I think I talked about this some time ago. A guy was like criticizing my hair because I was out and it was hot, it was frizzy, and I hadn't conditioned my hair, and yeah, and he like just a regular old typical butch looking dude, uh, so to speak. More like a I wouldn't say, I don't want to criticize or I don't want to take assessment, but yeah. Anyway, he you wouldn't think he would have any sort of awareness of hair, and not even to look at what's going on. You wouldn't think that because he's not like a clothes horse or a style monger or anything like that. But he just made a comment about my hair and said next time I decide to do something with my hair, I should consult a professional. And I'm like, dude, in my mind, I'm thinking, what? First off, why would you just walk up and say that? And I had like sort of pity that the guy didn't know. I wasn't angry. I had pity for the guy that he didn't know that's not good manners. Uh, just to walk up and say something kind of random like that to somebody, but also, uh, my first thought was, I am a retired professional cosmetologist, and it's like, and when I worked, people actually did do things like they didn't just cut and blow dry and throw on a little color. I mean, they actually like would get their hair styled as a form of art, from you know, perms, curls, finger waves, spit curls, all of it, very glamour. It was in the 80s, right? When I started, and if you know anything about 80s hair, yeah, it was very stylized and glamorized or whatever. So not only am I a professional in my training, uh, even though I did that for a while and then moved on and did other things. Uh, but yeah, no, I know what the fuck, tell me, and I wanted to go off and list all that and quantify, and it's like, here's what's going on and this and that and blah blah blah. But then I was like, I don't need to give a resume to this guy. It is hot outside. It is humid. I have been like touching and fooling with my hair, and it is messed up. And I'm a 51-year-old man, so I don't have to look good, and it's okay. But also, why is this asshole walking up and just saying something random? Anyway, uh, long story short, that's where I learned a good bit about hair chemistry and alkalinity, and by extension, industrial chemistry, and how they work and how to neutralize and things like that. And yeah, so Well, anyway, I'm going to sign off having made this video, but I love you guys, and I just want to say love and light, peace, good night.